Guys, I'm going to go ahead and start. Obviously, any and all questions are welcome, but I do need to cover a few things quickly. Serena, we can hear and see you. Hey, Serena. And Hasha says, hey, Sean, can hear and see you fine. A couple things I need to cover really quick. One, and I did a video on this. If you guys are not subscribed to our YouTube channel, I'd really recommend you do that. We do a lot of very updated content on there. Yes, I can talk about the NC Flipmaster later. Is this the chat line? Yes, Oscar, it is. Yolanda says, hi, Sean. Dr. J.E., we hear you. As far as the person that asked, because it just says subscriber, can you talk about NC Flipmaster? Ask me a specific question, please. That'll help. But I want to go over a couple things really quickly. First of all, just some really good announcements for you guys. Marisol, last name Terry, panning file, panning for hidden surplus funds, $33,654 was retrieved. Check went into the account yesterday, should clear by Friday. I'll be sending you out, I was about to say a check, but I'll be sending you the money directly on Monday, and I'll get to that in a second. And we got Waters. This is by Eric K. We were just going back and forth with email, Eric. 41K was, I believe, the amount that we are working with. This came in yesterday or the day before yesterday. Should have a money coming out to you on Monday. In addition, Pete R., if you are here, Ziegler came in. Panning file. You know what that one is, Pete. $244,000 retrieval. Kind of a big deal. Now, I got to say some things real quick. First of all, for the second time in under a year, we fell victim, the company, to check fraud. Luckily, we caught it. There's only one check that's in dispute right now. It's only $1,800. What happened was I put checks out in my mailbox at my home here. And I put them out in the mailbox, and 2 weeks later, I got a notice from the United States Postal Service. I don't know if I have it here. Probably not. United States Postal Service, the investigation department. Some empty letters were turned into them. They used to have checks in them. There were a total of 3, 2 in one of the envelopes and another, this other one. And the people erased my inked in to portion and put their own name in. And it's local, and they put it in their account. So this is going to be kind of a slam dunk. I have already made a full report, police report, and I will be taking these guys to court to make sure that they pay for that. The downside was I haven't been able to completely close the account, even though there's other missing checks. But it's not a big deal because I'm going to have to approve each check as they come in. Now, having said that, that means I have checks out right now for good faith money to claimants. Remember, we give them 10% up front as good faith money. And I have checks out to folks that are researchers. Don't worry about it. It'll be approved. I'm checking with the bank a minimum of twice a day, first thing in the morning and then late in the afternoon. I'm also, most of the time, also checking mid-afternoon. And I'm, of course, checking any pending in my accounts. I have a treasury management system. So I will be checking all that and approving as they come in. So don't worry about that. We have switched to another account. It's a premier account. As a result, guys, you're not going to see checks anymore unless you want them. But what I'm going to be doing is I'll be doing free ACH debits as to pay out researchers and probably also pay out folks that we're working with, claimants. So you won't have to wait on a check, and it'll go straight into your account and be available pretty much immediately with an ACH debit. Maybe a day or two, depending on your bank, not mine. But it'll be sent immediately to you, which is a big deal. I can also continue to wire and that type of thing, but I was trying to make something good out of this. So that's where we're at right now. I went ahead and upgraded the account so that we no longer have to mess with these checks because this is the second time it's happened. Very good news for the people, 3 people I mentioned: Eric K, retrieval Waters, Marisol N, the retrieval was Terry, and Pete R, you were on a tear, brother. The Ziegler check came in, and that one was $244,000. All right, let's keep going. Also, guys, there is a download that you can download on here. You probably see that somewhere on your screen. Download that. That's an overview of the upcoming sale. As you guys know, we really shouldn't call them sales. We only allow our programs to be available a couple times out of the month. A couple reasons for that. We want to moderate the number of people coming in. We're very happy with what we have going on. We want to moderate the number of people coming in, monitor that, and kind of, governor it a little bit. And the other thing with that is we just don't want to deal with the book sale side, but a couple times a month, because we're actively trying to bring in deals, making deals for our partners, our researchers, and our partners. So That's the most important thing to us, and we're happy with the people we have on board. So we don't have like crazy growth because we're not about selling the program. Now, you can't come in for free, right? We need to put a price on it besides the fact that it's valuable and it's a third the cost of all of our other competitors. The other reason we put a price on it is it helps defray the cost of starting you up. But we just don't feel like dealing with the actual sales end and fulfillment on an ongoing basis when we can cover it in a couple of days out of the month. And we're happy with what we got, and we want to monitor and make sure we don't bring on too many people. Hey, Sean, good to see and hear you. That's Brad. Dr. J.E., we hear you. Sophie, hi, everyone. Pete, you rock. No, Pete, you rock. Nerlandi, hello, the surplus training. Do you have a video that talks only about that? The trainings I've seen, you interchangeably talk about everything, which is confusing for a beginner. Nerlandi, you got to subscribe to our YouTube channel if you haven't already. Please do that. The name of the channel is Surplus Funds Riches, same as the name of our website, surplusfundsriches.net. But go to Surplus Funds Riches, all one word, in YouTube. Look up, and you can also Google this, but look up free surplus funds training. It's got a yellow background, and it is an hour and 5 minutes, and it'll blow you away how in-depth it is. Take a look at that, Nerlandi. I think you're going to like it. You can also just Google free surplus funds training and choose the video option, not all, just video, and it'll probably pop up near the top. It's yellow background. It's an hour and 5 minutes. It'll blow your mind. Oscar. Ran into a wall. I don't know where to start. Can I seek help from a friend to get two minds together and get my first file done? So Oscar, I don't know why you're going to seek help from a friend. The ebook that you have, okay, is step-by-step. Takes you through it. If you have questions, if you run into a wall, so to speak, we have a question about a certain part with that, we have built-in support. That's on page 1 of your ebook. Built-in support. It's email-based, ticket-based system. Get up with Jeff. There's no reason. Why would you contact a friend to try to get through something when the people that wrote the book for you are giving you free support and getting back to you typically within one business day? Use support. Read the book. Now, look, guys, we run into this. Read the book. I would say read it twice for comprehension because support's going to tell you. If you ask a question that's covered in there, we actually had a question one time where the people said, I understand how to fill out the file thing, but I just wish you had an example for Ohio. That is the example in the ebook. So read the book. I've watched it several times, says Nerlandi. She's talking about the surplus funds training where she talked. Listen, Nerlandi, that is for beginners. That takes you through step by step. The later stuff, obviously, when it gets to calling people, hiring attorneys, hiring mobile notaries, that type of thing, obviously that's upper end stuff. But the beginning part of it covers exactly what to do, how to get a list, tells you how to get a list, tells you how to research that, walks you through an actual file example. Now, keep in mind, guys, video training, I want to make another point really quickly. So when people buy our program, they get a PDF, which is written format. It's step by step. It's got screenshots. It's extremely well written. Jeff did 90% of that. And he handles support and the underwriting of the files, which we thought was important that he was a part of that. And he's just better at organization with that type of thing, okay? So he wrote the majority of that. That's where when people start asking me questions, what do you think about this in the ebook? I'm like, hey, Jeff wrote it, and he's support. As support, But it's extremely important that you read. A lot of people, what they'll do is get the ebook, and they'll go, oh, look, there's videos. And they'll click that, and they'll go through the videos. Now, the videos are great to back up what you have read. All the studies, all of them, and I've looked it up online for years, all of the studies say reading engages the highest percentage of your brain and you learn the best from reading. That's why we do it that way. You cannot learn this business from just video. You can't. So you need to get past that and put in the time. And look, we're not talking about we're talking 60, 70 pages? That's not a huge read, guys. Mike, do any of your programs recover surplus funds from writs of execution? In Texas, a writ of execution allows a creditor with a judgment to seize and sell non-exempt properties such as vacation homes. Mike, as long as it created surplus funds, we don't care who foreclosed. It can be a first mortgage, second mortgage, HELOC loan, HOA, taxes, Texas school taxes. It can be darn near anything. As long as there was a foreclosure and you have a list that shows that surplus funds were created, we can work it. Just like people have asked me before, Sean, hey, I've got the surplus funds, but it was created on just vacant land. Who cares? I don't care what was there. It's real. If it is real property, Real property, not personal. If it's real property, if it's got a house on it or not, okay? Heck, we've seen surpluses created from boat docks, okay? So I don't boat slips that were deeded. As long as it's deeded and that's how the property was transferred, it's real property. And yeah, we can go after it. It's a good question, Mike. I'm not making fun of you. It's a very good question. All right, keep them coming, guys. Let's keep rolling. And again, for those of you guys, because it looks like we got quite a few people that showed up a little bit later. Great news. Eric K. Again, we just had a conversation through email recently. A $41,000 retrieval. Last name Waters. That was using the panning system. Fantastic retrieval. Terry. Last name Terry from Marisol. And Marisol, I've been cheering you on. That just came. These are just in the last 2 days. That just came in $33,654. And the big one for this week, and guys, just so you know, because a lot of people just turn stuff in, it's $50,000 and higher. This is bread and butter stuff. $30,000, it still makes you a lot of money. Don't throw stuff away just because it's not 50 grand or 100 grand or 200 grand, right? As long as it meets our minimums, work it. Now, the other one that came in was Ziegler. That's Pete R. Man, big congrats to you, Pete. 244 grand. I'm excited for you. That's total that came in, guys. All right, let's see. I've got a couple more questions here. Way to go, Pete, says Brad. Brad, you're like one of his one. You and Yuri and Brad and Pete are just, you guys are workers, man. Hasha, for panning, I came across an HOA case that apparently the person paid cash for the property, but had no mortgage on it. Happens a lot more than you guys think. They did have other properties with mortgages. So if they did have one, it should have shown up in the recorder's office search. It sold for more than the debt amount, and there was a $39,000 surplus. I had never worked a case without a mortgage before. They happen all the time, Asha. Even without a mortgage, is it a workable case? Now, I want to stop. This question's going further, but I want to stop, Asha, right now, okay? You always ask me great questions. I want to stop and say a few things. One, especially in tax sales, a lot of times there aren't mortgages on that property. You have to check, for God's sake. You can't assume anything. And you're going to see more and more that there is additional debt against property because of where we are economically right now in the United States. You know, we're not in the best economic shape right now. We passed, I think it was $1 trillion or something like that in debt and credit card debt. It's amazing what's going on. Having said that, a lot of people, believe it or not, buy houses cash. They'll maybe sell a home in the Northeast for $700,000, and that gives them enough money to buy a car and a house down south. Okay. So it happens a lot. Now, I'm kind of dissecting what you're asking me. Then you said, okay, no mortgages on this. They might have bought another house over here with a mortgage. Doesn't matter, guys. Doesn't matter. A lot of times they'll run into where people owe more than one home. If the debt isn't against the home with that surplus that you're going after, it doesn't count. If it's against a different home, it does not count. That's why we teach you when you start doing the title work to always look for the legal description in the tax records and then go into the Register of Deeds, because that legal description will tell you, oh, this is a different property. Not just that way, even if it doesn't have a, if it's 2 pieces of land, you'll know legal description, lot 56, Farmwood Acres is this property. Legal description over here is lot 24, Eastover, different property. So only debt against that property counts and can be counted against the surplus fund and have a priority claim against it. All right. So far, we're good. Even without a mortgage, is it a workable case? Absolutely, Hasha. As far as the HOA, it doesn't matter who foreclosed. I did submit it yesterday since it is very competitive state county against us panners. I said up front of the submission email that I wasn't sure if it was workable and explain why. I don't want to waste anybody's time and resources. I know you guys put a lot of work in each. Thank you, we do. In each of the cases, and it's very appreciated. Thank you. The ACH is a great news. Yeah, thank you for that. I'm excited about being able to pay you guys fast, and have it immediately accessible to you. So I think I've answered your question, Hasha, and that was a very good question. But guys, a lot of times you're not going to find debt on it. Now look, when it comes to us, when we get a deal together, we get the documents back, we immediately get it in front of our attorney, and that's why we don't tell you guys immediately it's under contract at that point. The reason is we're sending it to our attorney to double check your title work, but also to look for IRS tax liens and things that are not recorded in the Register of Deeds Department that you may not have access to online, so that we know exactly what might have a priority claim to the surplus. So we're, in addition to putting the deal together and getting things ready and getting it to the attorney and rerunning title. We're going to, that'll include judgments against the individual. So we do a lot up front to make sure it's good. At that point, I should be reaching out to you guys. Now, I know I've been a little slack for last week, but I've been dealing with check fraud. Let's see what we got here. Brad says, way to go, Pete again. Sophie, have you ever closed a deal in South Louisiana? Public online records are locked up tight. Just starting out and started scrubbing sheriff sales, mortgage foreclosures list. I have 2 leads going to the courthouse to search the records tomorrow. So Sophie, it is extremely difficult to work Louisiana. Extremely difficult for a number of reasons. One is, they're not good at making the data publicly available. You almost have to go in for that. And we're going to have to see something in there in the case that actually shows the money's being held. It can't be an estimate with that stuff. It just can't. Not with what you're looking at here. But I need to make a point because I'm seeing that there are a lot of people in here that are new. Guys, I say this a lot and I get ignored a lot. Don't get caught up in working your local area. That is stupid. That's a mistake. We will work with you on 46 states, I believe it is. So do not get caught up in a county or a state. Okay. When people ask support, I've got to get a list from this particular, there's over 3,000 counties in the United States, for Christ's sake. Guys, and we're working mortgage and tax. Get out of here. Don't get caught up in working just your local area. Michael, this is a weird question. How should we describe Sean and or his company when people we contact ask about the company that I'm working with in researching their surplus funds? Sorry, I had a door open and the dogs just went crazy. How should we describe Sean and or his company when people we contact ask about the company that I'm working with in researching their surplus funds and what websites does Sean Scrooge refer them to? So Michael, we have 2 different surplus funds program. With the national, you don't call them, okay, the national program. Your job is just go get your own list, research the debt, fill out a worksheet with that and send it in to us, okay, and then we're done. Now, the other one is the Premier 16. And with that program, you do actually have to find them and call them. You get 16% instead of 8% of the gross. And that's a lot of money, guys. But with the 16%, you have to call them. There's a script in there on how to handle that. So you obviously haven't purchased it yet, but there's a script that tells you how to deal with that and tells you how the handoff is done. You're not negotiating, but you can tell them about the fact that we're going to give them 10% of the gross amount held up front as good faith money. So that's a very important deal. Hi, Sean. I've reviewed the website and ebook, but have been unable to locate the state overview list mentioned several times. Apologies if I've overlooked it, but could you point me in the right direction for this? So listen to website and ebook. Did you purchase our ebook? If you did, we touched on some of the states and most of the programs. Panning, we actually give a list of the ones that we're going to allow you to work because it's a completely different animal. I would say get a hold of support for that if you purchase the program. I'm not understanding your question, and I want to make sure I don't. Jeff says we removed the state overview chart. This is why Jeff's a moderator. And by the way, this is why after you buy, you don't ask me questions, you don't text me, you don't ask me stuff. You go through support, the email-based, ticket-based support, because Jeff knows the front line better than I do. I'm the first one to admit it. I'm going to give you the wrong answer on a lot of that stuff. And I will actually, if you guys have watched these before, I will reach out to Jeff and say, hey, man, would you please address that? And he just did. Hasha, thanks, Sean. Yes, I was looking at it by the property ID, so we're good. Yes, the property ID or parcel ID, also called the PIN or the PID, never changes. Okay, that's great. So, and the reason they do that, guys, is simple, right? So I'm at 14, let's say I'm at 14530 Barney. Well, if I was to split off half my lot, there would be a new parcel number for that. So you wouldn't be confused with the actual address number, the street number. The parcel number always stays the same. Emmett says, I like that. That's great. Jeff, quick question from Nerlandi. I've been to a live tax sale in Atlanta. If I attend a live tax sale and the list is not yet made public yet, can I submit early? So with national surplus funds, Nerlandi, we're going to need to see that a surplus was actually created. That's why we went to list with that. Now, panning for hidden, we teach your way in with mortgage overages in a select number of states, about 20, give or take. We teach you how to estimate in that instance using our methods. And it's not just opening bid and final sale. There's more to it than that, okay? But we teach you how to do that. With the national, we need a list because, a lot of people don't understand, for instance, if it's a mortgage overage, they'll all opening bid may not be correct. Okay. They also can miss quite a bit on it, for instance, attorney's fees and that type of thing. So we need a list. Now on the tax side, what you don't understand too, what a lot of people don't understand, the reason we're looking for a list with the National Surplus Funds Program is even in taxes when they foreclose, let's say there's a code enforcement lien or something else, right, with the city or the county, they will actually oftentimes make sure that is also paid out of that. Should they technically be able to do that? No, but can you argue? No. It's the city or the county. You're not going to win on a lawsuit on that. And if the money's owed, the money's owed. So they'll take that out too. So we do look for listening. Good question, Orlando. But you're kind of doing the wrong thing here. You bought the program, work it, ask support questions if you have questions. Don't go to live events. There's no point in that. That's a waste of time. Guys, and again, far too much opportunity out there to waste your time, right? All right. Somebody used Q&A. Let me take a quick look. Question from Jim. Recently saw where a city doing a foreclosure for delinquent liens. There wasn't enough there, but I wondered, could I turn it in if there was? So foreclosure for delinquent liens. I'm concerned about that question, Jim, because it sounds like it's a tax lien certificate sale or a tax lien sale, and that is not going to, those do not create overages ever. I mean, it's certainly a question you can ask support, but we need a list showing that it's actual surplus funds, excess proceeds, overbids, whatever you want to call them. So that's important. Good question from Sarah. Guys, again, though, this last time I'm going to go into Q&A, use the chat section. Hi, Sean. Is tax or mortgage sales better over the other? Okay. I'm going to answer your question. It's going to sound like I'm not. So with tax overages, it's typically very easy to get the list. There's really not an issue with that. We're dealing typically with the sheriff's department or the county. Okay. With mortgage, in most instances, we're dealing with judicial sales, which means that the county actually kind of coordinates that with the foreclosing attorney, or the foreclosing attorney goes through the county. Let's put it that way. So there is a slightly higher chance that in a mortgage overage situation, there was additional debt against the property. And the reason for that is there can be, besides taxes owed, right? When a mortgage company forecloses, somebody had the means to get a mortgage, there is a greater chance that they had a second mortgage or a HELOC loan or additional debt that needs to be paid out over taxes. In a tax overage situation, what we're talking about in that instance is usually people have inherited the property or they had already paid it off, because if they had a mortgage on the property, now you still have to check debt. Don't misunderstand me with what I'm about to say. Excuse me. In a tax situation, there's a less chance there's additional debt against it. Okay. And the reason there's less chance there's additional debt against it is if there was a mortgage, that mortgage would have been having the owner pay in their mortgage, they pay principal, interest, taxes, and insurance. So if they were behind on taxes, the mortgage company would have had that escrowed and they would have paid that. So there's less of a chance in a mortgage situation that there is debt. In a tax situation, if there were, or rather, there's more of a chance that there is debt, additional debt in a mortgage foreclosure. In a tax foreclosure, there's less of a chance, because if there was a mortgage, they would have already started they would have already started the foreclosure proceedings. That makes it sound like taxes are better to work, right? Not so fast. These other guys, and by the way, we're the oldest training. We've been here longer than anybody else. Bob, anybody else out there, okay? We're the oldest one training, longest one actually doing it, worked more files than anybody else, period, over 20,000 at this point. So we kind of know what we're doing. The other side of the tax and mortgages, these other guys are really pushing going after tax sales because it's a little easier to get the list. We teach you how to get a list even if it's not online. So there's, I believe, more opportunity in mortgage overages, but there's more of a chance that there's additional debt against it. Either way, you've got to research, so who cares, right? Frankly, we're pulling stuff in every day from all of it, even panning, where that's going after overages that other people don't even know about because there's no list created and it's handled completely by the foreclosing attorney. The county doesn't have any real records of it, of what happened. So we're dealing directly with foreclosing attorneys in states where you cannot get a list. That foreclosing attorney is not going to get you a list. Panning for surplus funds is our highest converting program because no one else is working it except us, pretty much, and it is available in the Diamond Bundle only. Let's take a look at chat again. Looks like we have some more stuff. Wow. Okay, maybe. Hey, listen, no, that sounds like a question for Jeff. She goes, got it, Jeff. Thanks. So we should research this achievement file for each state as we go thin. I'm going to let Jeff handle that. Or I'll tell you what, Lucinda, why don't you open a support ticket on that one? Because there may be some more that he can cover with that with you. Larry, if we are using the assignment method, does the minimum, and that's all you said. I don't know what you mean. You must have bought the triple play where we're teaching, we taught people how to also use assignments or the finder method in addition to our method, the structured buyout. You didn't finish your question. Sarah says, I agree, and says, thanks, Sean. Guys, it looks like we're about out of time. If you got any questions, fire it out now. We're going to be, actually, I think we shut down questions at this point because it's 8:28. Guys, I'm going to go ahead and call it. I hope everybody has a great night. Now, listen, the sale is March 1st and 2nd, starting at 10 a.m. on March the 1st Eastern Time, ending on the 2nd, March the 2nd at 10 p.m. Eastern Time. We will not be having a live. We only do 2 live webinars a month. We had one already on the 1st. We're having one tonight. We will not be having one on the 29th before that. If you're thinking about coming on board, go to the site, surplusfundsriches.net. Click on products. It'll make you put in your name, email, and phone number. You can always unsubscribe, guys, but that'll take you to the products page. You can also reserve your spot on there. But on the products page, halfway down are downloads. One's an overview of all of our programs and bundles. Another one is an overview of the pricing for March 1st and 2nd. Read those. After you've read them, if you still have questions, I'm available 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern Time, Monday through Friday at 704-791-9398. Again, 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern Time, Monday through Friday, 704-791-9398. Thanks, and guys, have a great night.